Thank you for joining us for another insurance agency owner and principal webinar, Better Agency Marketing in about 5 minutes or less. Today's topic, the top 7 insurance agency website security tips to prevent data breach and hacking. So, how can you protect your agency website against cyber attacks? Many agencies and brokers are selling cyber insurance and understand the importance of that. So it would be very, very detrimental to them if they themselves had a breach. So the first thing, number one, make sure you're using MFA, multi-factor authentication, sometimes referred to as 2FA. What is it? Simply said, you log into a bank with your password. They send you a code. They may send it by message, text message. They could send it by email, or possibly you could use an authenticator app. So that code is sent to you. You then type that code in, and you can now access your website. Very secure, much more secure than just using a login and a password. Easy to implement from a website perspective. If you don't have that, get it done right away. Encrypting data at rest. If I were to log into my website, I could, look at my data and see perhaps my form entries or form submissions or perhaps people who have asked for insurance quotes. Well, by encrypting that data, only people who have been authorized to see encrypted data could actually see that information. It's another really useful tool of keeping your information, your client information, and your prospect information secure. You should be using complex passwords, and websites these days can force complex passwords. 12 characters perhaps, alphanumeric special characters. You don't want to have simple passwords. It's one of the most frequent ways that websites get hacked. You should also have a comprehensive password policy, of which number 3 should be in there to have complex passwords. But your password policy would include things like timeouts and how you can limit the amount of login attempts and how long people have after each unsuccessful attempt before they are allowed to log back in. A password policy can be a really effective method to help prevent breach or hacking. Now, what else can we do? Well, you can certainly use a firewall. A firewall is a great way to prevent not only breaches, but also spam from hitting your website. Most hosting environments offer this today, whether it be GoDaddy, One-on-One, SiteGround, and so on. People often think of it as a black box, but you could also have a software firewall, perhaps a security firewall. And when you do that, you're going to have to change your IP address. So that means you're going to have your hosting provider or your IT group or your website developer make sure that you are changing your IP, which means this should be done after hours so that you don't cause a problem for users who are wishing to look at your website or use your website in any way. You should train employees, not once, not when they're just hired, but ongoing, to make sure they understand your cyber attack policies, the best practices to prevent cyber breaches. You could do this by training them initially in meetings, ongoing, once-a-month reminders, short videos, documents, but make sure it's in writing, the media is there in various ways, and that it's an ongoing effort, not a one-time thing. People forget, and all of a sudden they click on a phishing email and it's a problem for you. Lastly, consistently update your code. Out-of-date code is an invitation to get hacked. So whether you're using WordPress or Java or whatever, or PHP or whatever you're using for your website or your website platform, make sure that is up to date. If you're using WordPress, which is one of the most pervasive websites in the world, make sure that your code and plugins are updated consistently. And that will help make sure with these other things that you have a highly secure site. If you want more information on websites or website security, agency marketing, or lead generation, please reach out to the experts at StartUpSelling. It'd be our pleasure to have a review or a website audit with you to let you know how you can improve security with your website. Thanks for attending. Look for another webinar in the very near future.